Okay, I got that ready. God, I feel like I have to put on my makeup and find my purse and
Shoes, earrings.
exactly. Oh, that is one thing. I mean, I love women, but it's in those times I'm like really glad I didn't end up being one because it's just like a lot of work.
It is.
It is, you know. Okay. So what I want to do today is go back to the HP 10B2. All right. So many years ago, when I started teaching Does It Pencil, um, I used the HP 10B2 and the HP 12C because the 12C was kind of more in vogue back then. And this would have been probably like in the early 90s. And then I quickly realized that people couldn't do basic math on the 12C because it's what's called RPN, reverse Polish notation. And so 2 plus 2 transcribes to 2 enter 2 plus. And people are just like, I don't understand this. So then we switched over to the 10B2. Then for a while there, I was doing consulting work for a calculator company in Carson City, Nevada. We were packaging the course with their calculator. And then after recession, that just kind of went away. And then nobody wanted to carry a handheld device anymore. And so these guys developed the 10B2 app. It was $6 and it works. So that's kind of where we're at. And I have learned as the instructor over the almost 35 years I've been teaching Does It Pencil that really the right way to learn how to do this in the course is to sit down with a financial calculator, shut off the world. You're going to actually learn how to do something. What a novelty. And it's been a long time for a lot of people that come to my classes where they've actually had to learn how to do something, especially a new device. And I get the feedback all the time, oh, the class is great, your jokes are okay. But it's this calculator that I struggle with because it's a new thing, right? In the field, this is really a very important thing to have with you and to know how to use to do basic stuff. Okay. Now, course four is the Excel templates. It's the more advanced stuff, computer based. But really, I know a lot of guys that are in this industry, guys and women, and we use both tools. You need both. Okay. Which is why I've never just done one and not the other. But the calculator is something that people kind of struggle with. So I thought today we'll just go back and do that. All right. Um, I know you. I just can't remember your name. You're from Mercer Island.
Lisa,
Lisa.
sorry.
Okay. Thanks for
Good,
showing up.
good morning. Yes,
Do
I
you
know,
have
and I
your
wish I could change that Zoom thing, but
You can just go into your settings thing.
okay, let me
But
try to
anyway,
do it.
do you have your HP 10B2 from the class, your calculator app?
Yeah.
That's what
Hmm.
we're doing today.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, awesome. All right. So what I want to do first is the first thing. And the first thing is just to go over the basic stuff of the calculator. Okay. So all of the all the phones have essentially the same interface. Okay. So in this top box up here, what's really important is two things. On the left here, it's the payments per year, and on the right-hand side, it's the mode that you're in. So the payments per year has to do with time value of money, which we're going to do some time value of money. But if it's been a while, or if you've forgotten, or if you just want to be like Joe, then write this down. Monthly payments is 12 payments per year. Appreciation is one payment per year.
Say it again.
So monthly payments is
Hmm.
12 payments per year. Appreciation is one payment per year. And that's really a cornerstone of doing a skill called time value of money, which we'll get into. Okay. The second thing over here is the mode. And you have two options here, and they toggle by pressing the gold key here and then this key here that says MAR. And you can toggle it between begin mode and end mode. You want to be in end mode always. So if you see the word begin, press gold key MAR and get yourself into end mode and then leave it there. The mode you're in the calculator does not change if you turn it off and turn it on. The payments per year does not change if you turn it off and turn it on. Okay, so this is the top screen. All right. The next thing about this calculator to understand and remember is that there are three layers of menus on this calculator. The first layer is just all the white keys that you see. You press the key in white, it does the thing in white. The second tier is the gold tier. And if you look underneath all the keys, almost all the keys, there's something in gold. So in the top row, under N, you have times PYR. In the top row below FV, you have amort and so forth. The way that you trigger the gold function is you press this gold key first, and then you press the key that you want to make it do the gold thing. So, for example, if you're entering the number of payments per year, and we'll do this in a minute, you press gold key N. Okay, now when I go through my examples, I will write down on my paper, and I recommend you do the same, all the key presses. Okay, and here's the thing about the key presses. If you do the key presses the right way in the right sequence, then you'll always get the right answer. Okay, but there's a couple things that are kind of weird about this calculator that require proper sequencing and proper key presses. Okay, a couple of basic things. So first of all, clearing. The way that we clear, and we always clear first before we do any kind of problem at all, is to press gold key, clear all. So it's this key here, and then the C. So below the C, it says see all. That's clear all. You can also clear by pressing the C once. That will clear the last entry. You also have a backspace key right here. But to start every problem, we always do gold key clear all. All right, so that's the clearing function. The next thing is what I call the number of significant places. Significant places are the number of zeros that you see to the right of the decimal. You express these for degrees of accuracy. So for our purposes, we either have the calculator in two significant places, like you see here, or for certain calculations, we put it into four significant places. So the way you change the significant places is by pressing gold key equals and then the number that you want to display. So right now you're seeing two significant places on this device. If I want to change it to four, my key press is gold key and then the bottom row the equals key that says DISP and then the number four. And then I have four zeros. If I want no zeros, like no pennies, gold key equals zero. I typically keep it on two, and most people do. Okay. But this is for degrees of accuracy. Okay. Next up, we have a key here, fourth row, left-hand column, called the plus or minus key. This is not subtraction. This is changing the sign convention. Okay. It's making something a negative. So I'm getting kind of algebraic on you here, but this is not subtracting. Okay. So for example, if I wanted to enter negative $2,000 as a payment, like if I was solving for a loan amount, my key press would be like this, 2,000 and then plus or minus and then PMT. So I'd do 2,000 to get the integer in the display, then change the sign by pressing plus or minus, and then I would enter it in my example in the payment register. Okay, so the sequence is number, change sign, and register. You do them in that order. Okay. All right. I think I'm forgetting something, and I'll probably remember it later, but for now, that's cool.
Hey Joe,
Okay,
how do you
let's
change
talk
payments per
about
year?
the top row. because this is the time value of money keys. All right. So quick explanation. The N stands for time, and it could be months or it could be years. Okay. So in financial analysis and in Does It Pencil speak, I don't call these months or years. I call them time periods. The IYR stands for rate, yield, or interest. You enter this as a whole number, the device automatically moves the decimal two places to the left. So, for example, if you want 6.5%, your key press would be 6.5 IYR. It would not be 0.065. The device does the point 0.0 part for you. So enter these as whole numbers. PV is present value. And this is a lump sum that occurs once at the beginning. Okay, I'm going to say that again. It's a lump sum. It occurs one time in the calculation, and it always occurs at the beginning. Depending on your problem, this could be one of three things. It could be the loan amount, it could be the down payment, or it could be the price. In all three examples, that's a single amount. It occurs once, and it occurs at the beginning. PMT is payment. And the thing that's unique about payment is that it's the same amount each and every time period, provided none of the other variables in your equation change. So I tell real estate people, why do customers borrow money on 30-year fixed debt? So they know what their payment's going to be. It's not going to change, right? Okay, last one is FV, and this is future value. And this is a lump sum that occurs once at the end. So the two applications primarily for future value and Does It Pencil are solving for the appreciated value in the future. You can do that with time value of money. And also solving for the loan payoff if that's required in your equation. All right. So there are five of these keys, one for each finger. And they're the same if you have a spreadsheet, a financial calculator, a standalone program, whatever, they're always the same. And there's two kind of, I call them the hat tricks inside of this. All right. So the first one, the first hat trick is what I called find three, solve for the fourth. Meaning, when I'm in the field, I have to capture three of these pieces of information so that I can solve for the fourth. Now, a lot of people walk into Does It Pencil and they've at least been exposed to, even if they don't know how to do it, they've been exposed to a loan amount or a present value, a term and a rate, and they solve for the payment. Excuse me. Many people have had at least that introduction, if not that skill set. But these all interchange. So if you have a present value, future value, and a term, you can solve for a rate. Present value, term, and rate, you can solve for future value. Term, present value, and rate, you can solve for payment. They interchange, but the math is always the same. Find three, solve for the fourth. Okay, the other thing about how these top five keys play together that's a little bit weird if you haven't seen it before is N and IYR are balanced by something called the number of payments per year. So term and rate are balanced by the number of payments per year. What does that mean? All right, so simple example. Let's say I'm a borrower and borrow $100,000. Okay. I'm receiving this money, so it stays positive. If I was paying it out, it'd be negative. but I'm receiving it in, so it stays positive. That's my present value, a lump sum that occurs once at the beginning. If I borrow this money over 30 years with monthly payments, how many total payments will I make if I make all of my payments inside of that loan structure? 30 years monthly payments.
360.
Say again, Chris.
Isn't that 360?
I can't hear
No.
you for some reason. Can you guys hear him?
Yes.
It's low.
360?
Yeah. You're very quiet today, Chris. I'm going to turn you up a little bit. Yeah, it's 360. And so in Does It Pencil Speak, we would call that 30 times 12 payments per year. Now, to keep this simple, if my interest rate is 12% per annum, what is my interest rate per payment?
$100, right?
No, my interest rate per
Oh,
payment.
rate.
Isn't it like 1 divided by 12 or something?
Yeah, it's at 1%, 1% per payment.
It's 12 divided by 12 payments per year. So it's 1%. Okay. So this conversion that occurs works like this. Term is actually times number of payments per year, and rate is divided by number of payments per year. Now, if you've never seen this before, or it's been a while, most people are just like, yeah, whatever, dude. Okay. The calculator will do this for you. You just have to preset it for the correct number of payments per year. So let's do this problem. Okay. 100,000, 30 years, 12%. And we're going to solve for the monthly payment. So here's how I would do this, and write this down in your note taking. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to write down is 12 gold key payment. This will set the calculator for the desired 12 payments per year that you'll see in the lower left. We'll do that in just a second. Once you set this, it will stay on 12 unless you manually change it. It doesn't like reset when you turn the calculator off and on. 12 gold key payment, and then I advise pressing gold clear all. This clears the calculator. So you set for the correct number of payments per year and you've cleared it, okay? The next thing you're going to do is enter the 3 of 4 variables that you know, which would go like this. 100,000 PV, 12 IYR. Now watch what I do with the years here. This is the thing that's super important. On the HP10B2, whenever you press the N, it's 30 gold key N. It's always gold before N. Okay, so what happens is by pressing gold, so take a look at the bottom of the N. See how it says times PYR? By pressing 30 gold key N, you're taking the 30 years and multiplying it times the 12 payments per year you already have set in the payment register. And when you do this, you'll see 360 in your display. But you have to preset by doing this part so that you also make this conversion here for the IYR. You don't see that one. It does it internally inside the device. All right. So I'm going to do this and you guys can play along with me. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm already in 12 payments here, but I'm just going to show you the key presses as if I was in one or something else. Just type in the number 12, press that gold key, then the top row, second one from the right, press the payment button. 12 gold key payment. And if you do that correctly, down here, it should say PYR colon 12. That means you're set in 12 payments per year. Now I'm going to clear it. Second step, gold key, C for clear all. So I'm in the correct number of payments per year and it's cleared. Okay. Now I'm going to enter my loan amount, my $100,000. So type in 100,000 and press PV. Okay. That's easy. Now I'm going to type in the 12, the interest rate, and in the top row, I'm going to tap IYR. And finally, 30 gold key in. And here I see 360. So find three, solve for the fourth, last key press is payment. And you'll notice here, the answer is negative 1028 and 61 cents. Okay. This is negative because you're paying this money out. This is negative because this is positive. So if I'm receiving in as the borrower the 100,000, I must be paying out the payment negative. Conversely, if I were to loan the money out to the borrower, this would be a negative because I paid it out, and this would convert to a positive because I'd be receiving it in. So the calculator automatically flips the sign convention on the back end. Okay.
Okay.
You can't
What
you
was the
cannot
last
have
step?
the last step was to press PMT. Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So this is just basic boot camp time value of money 101. Okay. So let's do one or two more of these. These just basic problems, and let's do them as appreciation. Okay. So Kelly, you work in Kitsap County. What is just the generic one size fits all price of a house in Kitsap County right now?
Like a three-bedroom, two bath,
Sure.
square feet, four
Yep.
fifty, 475.
Okay. Let's say 450. And if I come up to you and say, "Hey, Kelly, my realtor for life, if I'm going to buy this house and hold it for 5 years, what would you advise me as my real estate professional to anticipate as an annual rate of appreciation?"
Probably 4% at this point.
Perfect. Okay. So I say to Kelly, "How much will this house be worth in 5 years?" Kelly says, "I can do that. I've been to Joe Steele's super awesome webinar. Check me out." So the first thing she's going to do is one gold key payment. And it's one gold key payment because this is an appreciation problem. And appreciation occurs once per year, not 12 times per year. That's why you have to preset for one. And then she's going to do gold key clear all. And then she's going to type in 450,000 and watch this. So we're saying here in this example is the borrower is paying out the money. And we're going to use the whole price in this example. So since I'm paying it out, I press the plus or minus and then press PV. So from the borrower's perspective, I'm paying out 450 at the beginning. I'm going to hold the property for 5 years, 5 gold key N, because it's always gold key before the N. And Kelly says, I'm going to enjoy an appreciation rate of 4% per year. Okay, let me pause there. I've cleared the calculator set for the payments per year. I've entered 3 pieces of information. Last step is to solve for the fourth. Solve for the future value. See what you get. What'd you get, Jim? Okay, one more time, unmuted.
Sorry, 547, 493, 81.
Yep. I'm going to round that to 494. That is the correct answer. Okay, and here's how I would do it. So I'm going to do one gold key payment and then clear. And then type in 450,000 negative PV 5 gold N 4 IYR and then tap FV. Now here's the significant place thing. If I want to, I could do this. Gold key equals 0. And that does the rounding. Just truncates the pennies. Okay. All right. Let's do another one. So, Chris, you shared at one point that you're somewhere between the ages of 45 and 65, correct?
Yeah, right in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Okay. So Chris says he's, what are you, 55?
I will be this year, yes.
Okay. So you're 55. And he says, I want to retire when I'm 70. Okay. And he says, when I retire, I want $2 million. dollars. Okay. So he has a 15-year time horizon and he wants 2 million at the end. That's the FV. He wants to know if I can earn 10% of my money, that's the I, how much would I have to invest today to achieve my outcome? Okay. So that's just time value of money. And here's how I would do that one. I would say starting off, one gold payment and then gold clear all. 2 million is my FV. That's what he wants at the end. His time horizon is 15 years and he thinks he can earn 10%. So the question is, what is the lump sum he would have to invest today? So we're solving for present value. So we do it this way. I'm already in one payment per year. So it's 2 million FV, 15 gold key N, 10 interest, and then last key press is to solve PV. So he has to have 478, 784 today. Right? Okay, I'm going to do one more. Actually, I'm not going to do one of those. That's a little bit more than what we need for today with the time constraints. Okay. Let me show you one more thing using time value of money that can be very helpful. And if you're doing internal rate of return and does it pencil, this is a part of the skill set that we teach. Let me just start by showing you a quick XY graph. And I've learned over the years, actually, let me do a bigger one. This is a good way to begin demonstrating what I'm going to show you next. So you can understand sort of visually about what I'm talking about here. So this is a graph of a loan. Okay. So this is the term and this is the rate. And this horizontal line represents the payment. And this is 0, and this could be like 30 years, okay? If you graph this, it turns into what's called an inverted parabola. And it looks like this. And this is the interest per payment, and this is the principal. So what happens in loan amortization, we know this intuitively, is that as we go deeper down the line into time, each subsequent payment has less interest and more principal, right? So we get out to the end here, we're paying mostly principal, but in the front end here, we're paying mostly interest, okay? So a lot of the problems we do in Does It Pencil contemplate like a 3 or a 5 year time frame. Okay. And one of the things that I teach people how to do is how to solve for the loan payoff at some point in the future. Okay. Say like 5 years. Okay. So I could go like this and I can see, oh, I'm paying a ton of interest. I'm paying some principal. I mean, this picture doesn't quite show it, but you understand the point. Okay. But the question is, if I sell the property, what's my loan payoff? Okay. So let's go back to Bremerton and let's solve for loan payoff. So the price was 450,000. Let's say the loan to value is 80%. Okay, so that would mean I'm putting down 20%. So I'm putting down $90,000, borrowing 360,000, right? Borrowing 80% of this. Okay. So my N and my IYR would be 30 years at 6.5%. Okay, so I'm going to solve for the payoff. But to do that, the first thing I have to do is to load all this amortization structure into the calculator and solve for the payment. That's step one. So that's going to work like this. 12 gold key payment, because this is monthly payments. Clear the calculator, and we'll type in 360,000, because that's the amount I'm borrowing. That's my loan amount for 30 years. That's 6.5. And I'm going to solve for the payment. That's the first thing. You have to solve for the payment. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to go 12 gold payment, gold clear. So right here, I can see I'm in the desired 12 payments per year. And as always, I remain in end mode. 360,000 PV, 30 gold N. That gives me my 360. 6.5 is my interest. Last key press payment. So my payment on that loan is negative 2275.44. Okay, that's my monthly payment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to push this loan out 5 years and solve for the future value, which is the payoff. Okay. So again, you solve for payment first, and then solving for payoff is quite simple. Watch how I do this. I'm pushing out 5 years. 5 gold key N, 60 payments, and all I have to do then is solve for FV, future value. 336,999. So 5 gold key N, and then FV 336,999. Or rounded, it's going to be 337,000. Okay. That's the pay off of the note. So one application of this that I teach in Does It Pencil is should you pay cash or should you borrow? Okay. And you guys get this question all the time, right? Well, what I want to show you next is numerically how you make the financial decision. Sorry, my voice is being lost today. And before I do this, just like I teach in the actual courses, what I tell people is, some people have the means to pay all cash, and you can prove to them that on the merits of the money, it's better to borrow, but they still want to pay cash because they don't want a loan. That's just kind of something important to remember. Okay. All right. So now I got my pay off. Okay. So if I'm going to compare, should I pay cash or should I borrow? What I'm comparing is the rate of return on the two options. Make sense? Okay. So we already have the rate of return on the all cash scenario. It is the anticipated rate of appreciation. Oh, we don't have that here. Sorry. That was on a different one, but Kelly told us 4%. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is just solve for raw appreciation. So remember, when an asset appreciates, it's the entire asset that's appreciating. In this case, the entire 450,000 price. So if I go 1 gold payment, because it's appreciation, and then clear all, and then type in 450,000, and make it negative because the inference is there and paying it out for 5 years at 4% per year. And then I solve for FV. So this is what my value should be 5 years in the future. $547,494. Okay, now I'm going to just show you a real simple and quick, dirty way to do this. There's another step that we introduce in Desert Pencil, but takes longer, and that's not the purpose today. So what I want you to think about is this. If I buy this property and I pay all cash, what I'm saying is this. I will deposit $450,000 today. That's the cash that I'll bring to the escrow. Okay. If I hold that asset for 5 years and appreciates at 4% per year, I'll have 547,494 at the end. Okay. We all understand that. Put another way, if I invest 450 today for 4 year or for 5 years and earn 4%, at the end of my investment term, I'll have 547,494. So the real estate is just a vehicle to transmute depreciation. Okay. Just like a stock, gold, I mean, whatever. Okay. That's all it is. All right. So that example is what I call price out, price in. In other words, it's the full 450 that I pay out in cash, and then I get the 547 and change back in the end. There's no debt. Okay. But what would it look like if there was debt involved? Okay. So to do that, what I do is I say this. My future price is 547, 494. My loan payoff in the finance scenario is 336,999. Okay. And so this would be 210,495. And this would be I call this the PTSP, the pre-tax sales proceeds. This is the amount of money that I would get at escrow 5 years from now if my property appreciates and I pay off my loan. And I know there's closing costs, but we'll just forget that for now. You understand the basic idea, okay? Now, I'm going to turn this into time value of money and solve for the rate. And I do that this way. One gold key payment, gold key clear all. And what I'm saying here is I'm going to invest $90,000 as my PV. This is my down payment. This is the finance scenario. I'm not putting out cash of 450, I'm putting out cash of 90. And instead of getting back cash of 547, 494, instead I'm getting cash back of 210, 495. That's my FV. It's the same 5 year term. Okay, so all we're doing is just saying, should I finance this or should I pay all cash? And the last step is to solve for my rate. So that solves this way. I'm still in one payment per year. 90,000 negative, got to make that dude negative, and then PV. 210, 495 positive FV. That's what I receive in over 5 years. Oops, I got an extra number in there. Hang on a sec. 210, 495 FV. There we go. 5 years, last key press, solve for my rate of return. 18.52%. Now, the one thing I teach in Does It Pencil that I don't get into here is we accommodate all the payments that you make to get to this payoff. I'm not worried about that here, but you can see the difference, right? We're earning 4%, we're earning 18.5%. So the basic talking point is this. If you anticipate that your asset's going to appreciate, you want to leverage it as much as you can. Because in leverage, it's the whole asset that's appreciating. It's the 450 that's appreciating. So if I can control that for 90 instead of controlling for 450, that's leverage. Okay? That's how that works.
Is that if you extend the term out 10 years, does that rate go down, that rate of return go down?
Well, let's see. So what you're asking is extending this, sorry, extending this from 5 to 10, correct?
Correct. Yes.
10-year loan. Okay. So let's do that. So make this 12 payments per year. And I'm still borrowing 360, 30 years at 6%, solving for the payment. Okay. Now instead of 5 gold N, I'm going to type in 10 gold N and solve for future value. So payoff is 305194. So now it becomes, so you can see it's always finding 3 and then solving for the 4th. So I'll take it to 1 gold payment for 1 payment per year. 12.99.
So the longer you hold on to it, the lower.
Correct. And why do you think that is?
Do tell.
Okay,
I
I
know
will.
I'm trying to
Here's
make
why.
it.
Here's why. So this deal has what's called not a negative amortization, negative leverage. And it's negative leverage because your cost of funds is greater than your rate of appreciation. That's why. Okay. So, oh no, Lisa got afraid and ran away, which is a bummer because she was nice to have in class last week. But we were talking about this last week when I taught Does It Pencil. And, I said then, and I said to my broker last night, we're trying to sell this goddamn house in Lakewood. Please sell this thing today. Anyway, I I always feel weird at certain parts of making the Does It Pencil presentation. And I feel weird because I'm the instructor and I should know what I'm talking about, and I hope I do. And I become an old white man after 35 years of doing this. I'm a little bit of a curmudgeon. And I realize that there's people in the business that don't know what I know. I mean, I understand all that. And yet, I look at these flyers and listings, all this kind of stuff that talk about great investment, great this, great that, great the other thing. And yet these people don't understand like the most fundamental concepts of how the investment side of our business works. Like, what is negative leverage? Well, you talk about this great cap rate, but if it's still higher than the interest rate, it's negative. Okay, it's not a winner, it's a loser. I mean, this affect that, and you've heard me say this before, the criminals at the Fed during the COVID, when they dropped interest rates as low as they did, it changed the whole market for, in my opinion, at least a decade to come. Because when rates go down, prices go up. Okay. And that makes sense if you're pricing based on COVID money. But it's not COVID money anymore. It's twice COVID money. And that's why, on a cash basis, so many of these smaller investment deals do not make sense. And I looked at one last week when I taught Live Does a Pencil, and it was a gal from East Wenatchee, and she brought in a duplex from her market, and it was just, it was just ridiculous based on the asking price and the current interest rates. But when you dropped it back, and the property was purchases in like 2021 or 2022, or rates back then, like 3.5, drop to 3.5, presto changeo, all of a sudden it works. And that's just being in the investment side of the business. If the only world you know is the world that prices based on comparable sales, then this is all just fodder. And I guess I'm arguing, well, then don't tell me it's a great investment, how awesome the cap rate is, because it doesn't matter if the interest rate is higher. It's just math. Okay. Um, I want to kind of test this for time and see how much we could get through. The other big lift on the HP 10B2 is entering cash flows and like doing IRR, but I'm going to save that for next week. I thought I would break this in two, but I think that's just enough flooding for one day with my voice that seems to be just limping along anyway. So, Christine, was this helpful for you just to kind of go through and do this again?
Oh yeah, and I need to play a lot more with it because you're fast on the I'm it's getting my head to wrap around.
Yeah,
That last step is my hardest. So what do I
yeah,
have to push for that last step to get the value?
yeah. Chris, helpful for you?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what Christine said, I think that there's some things that you don't do on the calculator in some of the later examples that take a little bit of thought before you
Yeah,
can realize what number you need to be working with. And I think that's where I would need to practice more. It's not the calculator manipulation, it's the
yeah.
logically, what number am I shooting for here?
It's the
You know?
Chris manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But given enough time, I think, you can kind of work your way through it. I mean, even if you're not absolutely sure, which I'm sometimes not when I'm doing these math things, you can arrive at I messed something up because what the end product didn't make sense.
yeah,
And so where did I make a mistake? And you kind of work
yeah.
back through it and okay, yeah, I made a mistake there, kind of thing. But can't do that in a class where Joe's pressing buttons at 1,000 miles an
Hey, I'm
hour.
not going that fast.
Oh,
Okay,
yes, you are.
500.
It's like second nature to you. It's like breathing. And I would love to be able to get to that point to where it's just like breathing. I think Chris and I, yeah.
Yep.
What I appreciated about Doesn't Pencil, I mean, I appreciated a lot about it, almost everything about it, but I think the helpful bit was the practice work afterwards, where you kind of keep applying and because then it sort of embeds the logic, like
Well,
why you're doing what you're doing. And it's
that
great to
bring
have the Excel sheet, of course, but I
that
prefer to be
brings me
able to
to the next
do
part
it.
of our little public service announcement here this morning. So this is the Does It Pencil website, obviously. This tab right here that says alumni. Click on that. And then I'm going to go here to alumni course one. I can either tap this hyperlink that says here, or I can tap the photograph. They're both the same. The password is, okay, so this is the Alumni Center for course one. And if you scroll down here, starting here, here's problems, practice problems. This is a video that shows you how to do all the problems. So this is a hyperlink here for a PDF. And here are 5 time value of money problems. And this PDF right here that says solutions, this is all the key presses.
Nice.
Then
Okay.
this video shows you on each problem step by step by step, just like I did today. Okay. So that's the practice that I have available for you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I mean, I do this with every class. So I want to just kind of wrap up today, and then if anybody else wants to say anything, they can. I've
So,
been an educator for almost 35 years,
mm,
which is the greatest irony of my life because I hated school. I did. I mean, I liked the social part, but I didn't like my teachers. They didn't like me. I was smarter than most of them. I was a turd. And I just was like, school was easy for me. I didn't work that hard and I got good grades and that's good and bad, I guess. Back in the 70s, we had this stuff called pot. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there's a lot of that going around too. Anyway, and so here I am all these years later, and I'm an educator. And one of the most important things that I have learned as an educator, I'm going to say this in the context we're all business people, you got jobs, you got families, you got stuff to do, right? But there is no substitute for practice. And so what I always talk about is what I call small practice. And small practice means you look at your whole week. That's how you should plan your time, your week, not your day. I mean, do your day, but like every Sunday is I have a spreadsheet that says days across the top, time vertically, and all the little boxes, okay, all the little cells in a spreadsheet. Break them down by 15-minute increments. You pick two 15-minute slots per week. 30 minutes, that's it. And it's what I call an appointment you keep with yourself. You go into a room and you shut the door and you turn this damn thing off and you take 15 minutes, that's it, and do something does it pencil. Read the book, watch a video, do a problem, whatever it is. If you do just that, you will be amazed at the end of the month how much more confident you are, how much easier this is, all that. It doesn't take a ton of repetitions, but it does take some. And so in your brain, this is what it's called a neural pathway. And neural pathways are built by what's called rote learning, ROTE, which means just repetition. I mean, I get people tell me all the time, oh, you're so smart. Oh, how do you know this? Oh, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Because I do it all the time. That's why I'm no better than anybody else, but I've picked certain things in my life that I'm like, I'm going to focus on this and get really damn good at it. And Does It Pencil's one of them.